And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. Actually, this is a recording, but we are here with Coach Nick from Canada. Welcome.
Thanks, brother. I so appreciate being here on the channel. Men of higher value. I love that. I love that. I think that's something that, like, just as when you said it, I was like, I'm digging that. Men of higher value.
There you go. The reason why, actually, it's a funny story. The reason why we started with that name, if you can call it, is I wanted to well, I was just felt low value the beginning of my marriage, and kind of figuring out and understanding the female psyche helped me to understand that they only dig men of high value.
That's it.
I mean, that's it. You know, so if you're low value man, sorry, you're not gonna get any. But if you're high value man, it just changes the whole perspective. So my goal is to create men of high value everywhere.
I love it, man. And you know what, men, we need to step up on this. I don't think that we know what it really means to be a man anymore. Like, we have no idea. We think it's one thing. You know, we look at maybe like I know, like, I'm very influenced by American pop culture because I grew up in Canada and this is what was around. Right. So a man was like Rambo type of character, you know, like, you know, shoot him up, big muscle, don't care about nothing, you know, and but that never resonated with me. But I'm like, yeah, but I ain't gonna shoot nobody, and I care about a lot of things. I actually have deep emotions. So it's like, oh, I must not be like that. I must not be a man. And then the whole, like, dynamic of how a man shows up in a relationship, you know, it's just, yeah, it's just, we're totally confused. We're totally confused. And anybody who's done even just a little research can see how it's playing out and causing havoc in our society right now.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I also like the fact that it's men of high value, which actually means that you are plural. You're helping each other. You're working together as a community in order to accomplish worthwhile goals. So and that's kind of the start of the movement. And we're definitely going to have millions of people in this community eventually. So so we're starting out with that. But since we're on the topic of masculinity and that of being a man, I have my definition, and then I would like to hear what you think about the definition and also your viewpoint on what it is to be a man.
Sure.
My definition for masculinity is to be in full control of your emotions. And that's it. And femininity is to not be in control of one's emotions, or in other words, to let go.
Very interesting. So I think that our definitions align pretty much. So the way that a man, the way that I define it from the yoga perspective, is sense controlled and sensitive. So let me explain. Sense controlled is what you said, full control of the senses, and the emotions and mind and body are all the senses.
Right.
So to be a man means to be self-mastered, full control of the senses. That is what it means to be a man. And sensitive means when you are full controlled, you are then sensitive to other people's needs. You are sensitive to the feminine needs and their needs. And that's what it means to be a man.
Beautiful. I completely agree. We've what I'd add to that as well is the fact that you like I look at it from a three-phase perspective. In the beginning, you have your emotions and they're wreaking havoc in your life, right? Your teenage years, you don't know what's going on, everything's happening all at the same time. And then you get to your, hopefully you get to the point where you can now control those emotions, or at least observe them, right? Where you see that, okay, so this is how I feel, and you learn to kind of navigate those emotions. And then eventually, as you get control of those emotions, now you can channel those emotions.
Yes.
So it's not like we're saying emotion is bad and that a man should like completely eradicate all emotion from his life.
No.
That's not the point. The point is to be able to live in harmony with those emotions and take action despite those emotions when necessary.
That's right.
Like,
It's
yeah.
to be above the emotions, or to live. So in yoga, we say that the mind is higher than the body, intelligence is higher than the mind, and the soul is higher than intelligence. So defining each of those is, the body is the senses and its objects. So sight, smell, taste, feeling, sound. And the senses are attached to the objects of the senses, right? So we are naturally attracted to things that attract our senses, right? The mind is, we'll call, the steering wheel of the senses.
Okay.
Okay. So the mind should direct the senses where to go and what is beneficial and non-beneficial. That's the function of the mind. It's like the steering wheel. Well, the intelligence is like the driver. The intelligence, which we can just chalk up to the discriminatory factor. If I have an apple or I have a cake,
Okay.
my intelligence naturally tells me the apple is the better choice. My senses, because it wants instant pleasure but doesn't know what's good for me long term, goes for the cake. So when we are acting from intelligence, it is not material intelligence. It's not like it's not school. It's not like I can memorize geography, so I'm intelligent. No, that's not intelligence. That's memorization. Intelligence is to be able to act upon what you inherently know is beneficial for long term. And the only way to do that is to subdue or get the senses and mind under your control. And then soul is higher than intelligence, because soul is the essence of us, the consciousness, which actually directs intelligence. So what the soul desires influences our intelligence, which influences the mind, which influences the body. Someone who is fully congruent or fully in control or self-realized or self-mastered in that,
Yeah.
they naturally are going to live a happy, joyful, healthy life. They're going to have great relationships. When the world presents them with problems, because it will, they will not crumble or go home and yell at their wife because of it, right? They won't become feminine and
Right.
out of control. They won't become emotional about it. They
Right.
will feel the emotion,
Yeah.
but they will stay above it. And this is the active principle. Actually, masculine means the active principle. Feminine means the inactive or receptive principle.
Absolutely.
Right? So to be a man means to be the active principle, which means actually you are willing to adjust, not her.
Beautiful. Yes, that's what we talk about. One aspect of this is also the principle of responsibility and blame. And this is something that I actually talk about on my channel sometimes, and some of the guys who have gone through divorces like heavily object, because my viewpoint on the subject is that if you are the problem, you also have then the choice of being the solution.
That's right.
So when you blame someone else for causing something on you, that basically means that you're giving them the power to change.
That's right.
Because you can't change if you're blaming someone else.
That's right. And you're actually in the feminine role because you're saying that you are not the active principle. You're saying that they are the active principle and have caused you to be a certain way.
Right.
That is energetically the feminine role.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so by blaming, men are in essence making women masculine.
That's
and
right.
making them the man with the pants in the relationship.
And that's why right now we have so much divorce rate, so much unhappy relationship, sexless relationship, passionateless relationship. You could find that all of these issues are largely because men do not know how to be a man. And it's a tough pill to swallow at first.
Because, it's horrific.
It's like, what? Don't tell me I'm not a man. But the reality is, until recently, I have not been a man in my life. That's my reality. Because I didn't know all that. And actually, the first time I heard it was from our spiritual master in our particular, in the Hare Krishna order, Srila Prabhupada. He talks lots about this. And, you know, it's controversial because it's misunderstood, right?
I had no idea this is like a Hare Krishna.
Well, it's just because it's a universal principle, right? It's not a Hare Krishna principle as it's taught. It's a universal principle. It's not owned by us. This is actually known from time immemorial. I mean, there are scriptures and yogic texts known as the Vedas. The Vedas translates into knowledge. Right. That speak about this, right? Even if you read some of the Kama Sutra, it speaks about this. That it is actually the man's job to turn on the woman. But here's how it's been screwed up in our society. Okay, we watch porn as men.
No, we don't. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Right. So as growing up, porn becomes what is, right? It's, you know, as the teacher of this. Now, porn gives this illusion that there should be women just, like, if I just walk out of the shower and pull my junk out, right? And like, that my woman should just be like, oh, my king has arrived. Let me just honestly, hasn't worked for me yet, right? right? Right?
That's right.
Because that is actually the feminine role, right? And so at first, when I first started learning this principle of masculine, feminine, I actually quite rejected it at first. I almost didn't even go down the path that I'm walking today because of this very principle. Because out of everything, I could have accepted everything else that they mentioned, but this one thing, I was like, what? I was like, I don't know about this, blah, 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 blah. And it sounded at first diminishing to women. Like, that's how I was interpreting it. But I actually had a conversation with a woman. I was sitting at temple, and I had to ask, because there's all these women there, right? And I said, right. And I said, and we were having dinner, and I said to another young woman, I said, look, there's a specific book called the Bhagavad Gita that is our main text, right? I said, when the Bhagavad Gita talks about this particular role, Krishna says, these are the roles. This is how nature works. And it sounds to me like it is diminishing women, putting them less than as a man. So I asked women, at the temple, I said, how do you feel? And they went, oh no, this is what it is. And they said, and they explained it to me. So I actually had women explain to me why I should step up and be a man, and that they are the receptive nature and why it works for them. And they're very happy women. And that's what was confusing me, because I was rejecting it, but I was looking at these women and going, but they're happy. So there's something off about this. And of course, it took me a lot of education. And then I went on to find guys like you. I ended up finding our mutual buddy, Johnny, right, from Sexual Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I ended up working with Johnny and, practicing semen retention and practicing sexual transmutation. And it's changed my life.
Yeah.
In a short amount of time.
Yeah. 6-week course, baby. 6-week course.
6-week course.
Did you actually?
The guy is like, I'm like, dude, you're literally changing men's life.
Yeah.
And more people got to know about this. And I think that actually, it's funny because some of the brahmachari in yoga means someone who's practicing celibate life, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So a couple of the young brahmacharis that are friends of mine, I also have had this conversation with them, and it was like, they're like, look, actually, this is your power. This is the key. Understanding the power of masculinity, understanding as a man the power that we actually possess.
Dude,
if
man.
we become self-mastered. It is like, this is the secret of King Solomon. This is the secret of Jesus Christ and Lord Buddha. And this, I mean, you literally become demigod with this practice.
Yeah.
But we're so not taught it, and it's like so confusing, and that's why few people have been able to attain it. That's why I'm so happy that I met you and this channel, and it's amazing. It's amazing. But I think it will be met with a lot of resistance from a lot of people that just don't understand or are not willing to be open-minded about the subject.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that their personal experience doesn't really go in conjunction with that principle. Because their entire lives they've been taught that basically it's okay to blame.
That's right.
And because that's just what everyone does.
That's
but
right.
The thing is, if you look at the two polar opposites in society today, you've got feminism, right? And like the real on that degree feminism, and then you've got on the complete other side, you've got the manosphere, or the MGTOWs.
I've never heard of that. What's that? The
MGTOWs, or MGTOW.
What is that?
Men going their own way.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Men going their own way. Okay,
that's a movement.
That's a movement. That's a thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's basically what's happening on each of these specters is basically just blame. That's it.
Right. Yeah, no responsibility, right? Like no one wants to. They want to say I can't believe that there's actually a movement of men who literally want to blame women for their issues. That is the least manly thing that you can do, right? I'm sorry, like that is like, that is the definition of being feminine, if anything. Yeah. Right? So is to turn around and blame women that somehow they are diminishing you, or even their rise, or that somehow you can't deal with it because you're insecure as a man. That to me is like wild. Like, I'm like, really? That's a movement? I had no idea.
It's a movement. So what? But I mean, at the same time, I completely agree with you that in some sense, no, actually 100%, the women will follow the men once the men step up.
Oh,
it's really 100%. That's it. Like,
it's natural.
It's completely natural.
The active, again, so you have to understand it energetically, right? Like it's the active and inactive principle. This is not a man, woman, human conversation. Mm-hmm. This is the dynamic, the yin and the yang, and it's the dynamic of the way energy and matter interact. There is an active principle and a receptive principle. The active principle is the male principle. It's the penetrative force. Mm-hmm. And the female principle is the receptive. Now, I'll even challenge that whole concept to why it's unusual for men, okay, according to yogic philosophy, is actually because the nature of all of us is actually in the feminine position, and that the source, what we call God, right? Source is actually the male penetrative force, because God gives life to everything. So actually, God is the only male force. But in this life, we are in the male role, learning what that means to be a male.
A god.
Right. What does it learn to be? That's why I said you become demigod, right? Because that is the job of the man in this human form, is to become self-realized. And if you become self-realized, you and the women around you can also become realized.
The thing is that women around you will always be a reflection of you.
Yes.
If you actually
Done. Mic drop.
Seriously, if you choose to improve and change and adapt and be flexible and just be, then the women around you will feel comfort and trust in that, and they will know that even though they're all over the place, you are steady. And if you're steady, they're going to go around in circles just like you're the sunshine, and they're the planet circling around the sunshine, being all over the place, and you are there. You're consistent. You're constant. They can rely on you, and you're gonna stick. And if they know that, they'll return back to normal like this.
Well, they will. They naturally. I've had this conversation. I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine, right? And I was explaining this to him, and his mind was just like, you could see, like his mind was unraveling. He's like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like, "Dude, I think you just saved my life and my marriage, because I couldn't understand why she's always unhappy."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, what are you doing all day long? You are just sitting around, and you're taking instruction and da 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 da. I said, you are in the feminine role. She is now in the male role. And therefore, she is what you call her nagging you, is her trying to get you to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know how to express it, so it comes off as nagging.
Yeah.
Have you called have you done this yet? What are you doing? And she's not expecting you to be like anything you're not. She's not expecting you to all of a sudden like turn into something new, but she's looking for you to be constant, grounded, secure, to give her that kind of security.
Yes.
I said, once you provide that, she's going to love. It's just going to be a natural exchange that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You're going to be happier. She's going to be happier. But don't blame her and don't dictate to her. The way that men try to step into their power is by trying to dictate. Force. Yes, they try, and that is not the way. That's the misconception of it. That is the misconception. And I'll even call out my own movement of the Hare Krishnas. Many men in our own movement don't understand this. This is why we also have a high divorce rate. Because men go, oh, I'm the man. You're the woman. You're going to listen to me because that's the role. That's what the guru said. No. That is a highly misunderstood way of looking at it. It is not by force. It is by self-control, sensitive, and sense-controlled.
Yeah.
And then naturally, things fall into order.
Yeah.
It's nature.
It's nature, and it's beautiful when it works.
Totally.
The thing is that when you're taking action, and when you're being a leader, when you're providing, when you're protecting, and you create this. Alana put this in such a beautiful measure. She said, I called it boundaries, right? for the man to set boundaries, but that are big enough for her to roam. Instead of feeling strangled and feeling like she can't do anything and I decide everything over her, instead I make a boundary that's big enough for her to roam, but there's still a boundary so that she knows that she's protected.
Yes.
But Alana called it a cocoon. I like that. And the reason why she called it a cocoon is basically like you're providing an environment where she can be happy, be bubbly, be to express her emotions, to dance, laugh, cry, to be with her female friends and just kind of experience life while you are there making sure that she's protected, provided for, and she will reward you handsomely for it.
Yes, totally. Oh gosh, yes, totally, 100%. And again, I like to stress that it was women who actually taught me this.
Yes.
Right? It was a woman over a group discussion that taught me this. Another woman, I heard a woman explain this, and she said like this. She gave this analogy which I really liked. She said a man's body, or the male energy, is like a tractor trailer. It's gonna be move forward. It should plow through, move forward. It gets things done. And she said a feminine body is like a Ferrari. It's beautiful, nurturing. It's fast. She said if you recognize that is the nature of the bodies, then naturally you can align and you'll feel natural. Which and by the way, happiness is a natural thing.
Oh yeah,
like, people
that's
are like,
what's normal,
right? That's the message that I'm actually starting to take out to the world, is saying happiness is natural. You should be happy.
We're here to be happy.
That's right. And if you're not happy, it's not you have to go chase it, or you have to. There's something unnatural about how you're living life.
Yeah.
So now I live in North America. We are popping pills, the anti-depression pills, we pop more pills than anybody in the world.
Literally.
But we live under this, illusion that we're advanced. We're like, look at us. We're an advanced society. The world should look to us. And I'm like, whoa, relax, everyone. Because we really have to check in what we mean. Because right now, and the whole world, I feel, is falling under this trap, is that we only look at life through material success. Right now, it's only if you're a millionaire, now you're successful. Forget the fact that you're popping 10 pills to keep yourself from jumping off the ledge. Oh, you're successful. What kind of definition of success is that? To me, that's a horrible definition of success, but that's what we're doing. And I find that a lot of the personal development industry is propaganding that kind of mentality.
Right.
And that's something that I'm like, no, enough is enough, because that needs to stop. That is not the definition of success. Just because you've grown some big business or you've done something like materially, but if your marriage is crap, your relationship, your health is crap, what are you? You think you're successful? You actually a fool to believe that you're successful? That is foolishness.
Absolutely. The thing is that the quality of your life will be the quality of your relationships. That's just very simply put. And you can't have a quality of relationships if your health is crappy. And
That's right.
also, you can't really be happy either without some of the material things. I do recommend always for men to provide well for their lives. But
of course.
But you're doing it because you want a centered life.
That's right.
And you're doing it because you are in control and you are the creator. You are the one who's taking action and making things happen. So in that sense, there's nothing wrong with abundance. You can create abundance if you like, but you do it in such a way that it's harmonizing with everyone around you and actually serving people. You
If
know?
it's true abundance, in my opinion, if it's true abundance, it's creating abundance for others.
Yes.
All right? Abundance is expansive.
Yeah.
If you are, because abundance is also natural.
Yes.
Right, that's another thing. Everybody's like doing like, I got to go to like 1,000,001 courses, and you know, I got to learn to be abundant and to learn to be happy. I'm like, no, you are naturally abundant. Look at nature. You know, I like to go like hiking. I spend a lot of time in nature. I like to observe nature because nature is telling us what is natural. What works? You gave me a beautiful definition, of nature, that which works, right? Nature works.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something about our life that isn't working, rather than like thinking that, oh, geez, something's wrong with me, or some there,
pills.
I need to, right, yeah, or I need to go down, like, and this, ask myself, what is not working, and how can I live more naturally?
Yes.
What is it like to live more naturally? How is nature doing it? And if you look, if you just a little bit of observance, nature will tell, just a little observance. Spend a little time in nature and just observe.
It'll tell you.
Nature will tell you exactly how to live abundantly, how to live joyfully, how to live happily, how to live in relationship. It's amazing that, we think that it's like this like that it's so far that we have to work so hard to attain these things. And I also like to remember, if you desire something, it's because it's natural for you to desire it, right? You desire money because you would desire abundance.
Right.
That's why. Why do you desire it? Because it's nature's desire. Because you are part and parcel of nature, not separate to it. It's only the illusion that you are separate to nature that makes you think that somehow these things are out of your reach. No, everything you desire is because it is your literal spirit saying, hey, let's get back to our nature, to our original self.
Yeah.
Once we get back to our original self, we become, the yoga word is ananda, blissful. We become blissful.
Exactly. And that's yeah, so that for me, like, the journey of life for men is basically well, the word won't really be this good in this connotation, but I usually say striving for masculinity. But if you know that you're a man, right? You are not really striving for it as much as you are just you're taking action in that direction. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And the more you take action, the more you discipline yourself and control yourself in order to create or to be in that abundance.
Yes.
Then the more masculine you'll get. So you'll have to go through this. I made a video about this today, where you have to go through the feminine uncomfortability, where you basically become very emotional, and then go through it, and that's where you'll find masculinity in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think we always have to be willing, if there's something not working in our life, we have to accept that to make it work, there will be some change that's going to be necessary.
Absolutely.
Right? Like real change, not like I watched a video about change, so now I think I'm changing, right? No, it's like the video is there to educate you to make the actual change in your life, which means the day will look different. The how you operate in the world will look different.
Yeah.
And with change comes nervousness, uncomfortability, uncertainty. But those things are there to build you up. Those emotions are actually there to say, hey, good stuff. Now let's they're like, it's like going to the gym. If you don't feel the burn, you're not going to grow your muscle. If you're not willing to make changes and try new things and do life differently, then nothing is actually ever going to change.
There you go. It's absolutely beautiful, man. I love it. So we've got masculinity, we've got femininity. We're gonna find a way of making those two be able to live happily in harmony together. And as we do that, this whole planet is gonna radically change. Like
Yes.
the moment I always think about this when it comes to nature. You know, there's like natural catastrophes and a lot of things happening in the world. Really, it's because of how women feel. If
Mm.
you actually manage to create harmony in women's lives, I promise you, you will see a world with less natural disasters because women are in harmony with nature. When they're
Mother
allowed to
Earth.
be in their feminine spirit, trust me, the earth will follow suit.
Yes, you know what you're going to is very nice. This is a bigger awareness of our relationship with the whole environment.
Yes.
That the environment is also, we are reflective of the environment, and the environment is reflective of us. Like we're all interdependent,
Yeah.
right? We are all interdependent. And so a lot of people don't realize that much of the environmental challenges that we face can be solved by our own realization, and not by trying to fix the environment per se, but to get back into natural living.
Yeah.
The environment doesn't need fixing, it just needs to be allowed to do what it naturally does.
Yeah.
And that's it. We just need to get out the way of it.
Yeah.
Stop interjecting and thinking that we are smarter than nature. We are not smarter than nature.
The key is relationships. I always say, if you fix your relationships, you'll fix your world. And then my slogan on my channel is understand the woman and you will understand the world. And that's a
Mm,
very good place to start.
love it, man.
So, hey, can you tell us what the name of your channel? What can you tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the best thing is to go to www.coachnickspeaks.com. And when you go to coachnickspeaks.com, you could connect. That's like the hub. You could connect to my social media. You could find out more about me and some of the different projects that I've got on the go.
All right, fantastic, man. I'd like to thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank
And
you for having me.
yeah, man, we had some awesome topics today. So make sure if you guys want to hear more from Coach Nick and his freedompreneur, then make sure you comment down below and also like this video. And I'll see you again soon. All right, we'll talk.